Is it endgame for Imran Khan and his supporters in Pakistan? Will Pakistan's army chief have the last laugh? I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo story. Pakistan continues to be in turbulent turmoil, in fact, in absolute chaos. The police has now got warrants to search the premises of Imran Khan's residence. Earlier, they were talking about 40 terrorists hiding at his residence. That got debunked. But in the meantime, Imran Khan, once considered a poster boy of the Pakistani military, has launched an unprecedented frontal attack against Pakistan's army chief and, in some ways, against Pakistan's military, including bringing up 1971 and the creation of Bangladesh. The scenes we have seen from Pakistan in the last few weeks are like never before. Imran Khan is talking about fighting till the last ball. He's also talking about the repression in Pakistan being worse today than it was during Zia's time or Musharraf's time. Pakistan's military no longer needs to stage a frontal coup, but is, as Imran Khan suggesting, this martial law by any other name? There's a lot to unpack here, including strategic implications for the region and for us here in India. Let's introduce our distinguished panel of experts on the program today as we ask who's winning and who's losing in this battle between Imran Khan and Pakistan's army chief. Joining us on the program is military veteran, former General Officer commanding of the 15th Corps, Lieutenant General Atta Hasnain. Always a pleasure, sir. Also joining us is a senior military veteran, former Army Commander, General Raj Shukla. If you aren't following his Twitter thread on Pakistan, please do. It is absolutely spot on, extremely perceptive, full of detail. So please do follow him on Twitter. Also joining us from Pakistan is one of the country's foremost journalists and editors, Imtiaz Alam. It's good to see you, Imtiaz Saab, after a long time. Also joining us is Meher Tarar. She's a columnist, a commentator, has been an avid supporter of what Imran Khan is fighting for, the repression by the Pakistan military and its interference in Pakistani politics. And also joining us from New York today is Wajahat Khan. He's been he's been taking no prisoners in his commentary on Pakistan, and we'll find out a little bit more from him why he's calling Pakistan Plotistan these days. Before I go any further, let me play out for you Imran Khan's latest statement. Like the cricketer he is, and the captain he's been, he's talking about fighting till the last ball. But can he? Listen.
हो रही है इस हवाले से क्या कहेंगे आप एक्स प्राइम मिनिस्टर भी हैं
जनरल मुशर्रफ के दौर में कभी इस तरह की सख्ती नहीं थी ये तो मुझे नहीं पता ज़िया-उल हक के दौर में हुई हो वैसे हमने तो नहीं देखी पिछले 35 साल है इस तरह का क्रैकडाउन हमने नहीं देखा इससे तो लगता है कि सारी सिविल लिबर्टीज सारी फंडामेंटल राइट्स खत्म हो गए बस अब तो सिर्फ अदलिया रह गई है जो कि लोगों के इंसानी हुकूक की हिफाजत कर रही है बाकी तो कुछ भी नहीं है बाकी तो जिसको मर्जी उठा लो जब जब चाहो किसी को उठा लो
तो खान साहब आप अज़्म जवान है अभी भी आपका पुरअज़्म है और डट कर खड़े हैं आप जितने मुकदमात बनाए जा रहे हैं पेशियां हैं
आखिरी गेंद तक लड़ने वाला कप्तान था और आखिरी गेंद तक लड़ूंगा
आखिरी गेंद तक लड़ने वाला कप्तान रहा हूं और आखिरी गेंद तक लड़ूंगा I will fight till the last ball. The question here, Wajahat, if I can start with you, is what is the last ball? I don't know because he's not talking in metaphors. What is the last ball?
I think he referred to it in person yesterday, and I hope your producers can find that, Barkha. The deterioration within the ranks, the atrophy which has started amongst his rank and even his file has started to take effect. As of the last 48 hours, to my count, almost 30, over 30 PTI leaders, ticket holders, former ministers, etc., have left. Now, of course, in Plotistan, where everything is a conspiracy, the larger story is that they are being forced after the events of May 9th. People have been approached and basically been given a choice, a hard choice, that either you face trial or you stay with this man because you face trial. Now there's actually regulation for people involved, senior leaders, junior leaders, no, regular workers, to who were a part and parcel of the May 9th events, which, as you covered, as we all saw, as the world saw, was unprecedented. Military
Mhm.
installations all across the country attacked. So people have been given a hard choice, and in a country where with the old rule where the house always wins, it seems that the house is beginning to cash in.
So it's more of the same. So it's deja vu, not dramatic change, as I argued in one of the columns I wrote on Pakistan. The Pakistan military then wins again.
Well, except this time you have a man who's not taking flight. You have Khan. Khan went on the record yesterday and said, even, and he did this, and I'm copying him. He said, even if I'm the last man, I will not leave. I will fight till the end. I will fight alone, he said. And you know what? I believe him. The guy's got nothing to lose at this point. He's truly he's like him or not. Khan has not followed the trail of the other dynasts, the other politicians who have in the past, Barkha, as you know, you've covered Pakistan for decades now, who have taken flight, who have taken those plea bargains, who have gone into tactical retreats to London, to Riyadh, to Washington. I'm talking about the Zardaris, the Bhuttos, the
Right.
Benazirs of the world, the Sharifs of the world. He hasn't taken that option. Now, that makes him a very popular figure still, but I must say that the tide has turned in the last few days. And
Yeah.
though that popular uprising, which for a minute looked like it could upend the system, has actually ended up pushing the system where it has struck back. The empire has truly struck back and struck hard.
Imtiaz Alam Saab, would you agree with that? Now, I know that, Imran Khan, ironically, once dismissed by Pakistan's sort of progressive politicians as a burger phenomena, urban, rootless, deracinated, even winning last time, he was accused of having rigged the election and come into power with the military's help. Today, he takes on the same military, the same sort of institution that he was once accused of being in bed with. Do you agree with the assessment that the tide has turned, that the Pakistan military is back in the saddle? And do you agree with Imran Khan when he says that this control is worse than the time seen during Zia?
You see that I just see it as a repetition of the past. The hybrid regimes created in Pakistan in the past always met with a crisis. The political figures who were propped up by the army finally ended up defying the army. Like, for example, the classic example is Mr. Bhutto. But Mr. Bhutto left Ayub Khan and formed his own party and ran his campaign. And finally, we have seen that army doesn't allow such a popular leader to dictate his terms to the most powerful institution. So Bhutto was hanged. An example was set. Then Nawaz Sharif was propped up. And finally, Nawaz Sharif was brought into Punjab and elsewhere by sidelining PPP. And perhaps Imran Khan doesn't know that almost over 100,000 workers during various periods in Zia's time were in prison. And casualties were much higher, and MRD movement was the longest movement for democracy in Pakistan. I
Yeah.
myself spent 5 years in Zia's prison. So there was a big struggle. But finally, they brought Nawaz Sharif.
Yeah.
And again, Nawaz Sharif ended in defying the army. And it happened thrice. He was brought at least twice times, but with the help of the army. But then finally he defied and had to, and he was tried in a in a hijacking case and given life imprisonment and was
Right.
exiled. And then to dispose of all the politicians of the old regime, the military tried to build a man with some kind of charisma and some kind of heroship attached to him,
Yeah.
from cricket to philanthropy. And Imran Khan was really a lovable hero. So they built him for the last almost since 2010 and 11. Even his campaign for the hospital was run by the former ISI chief, uh,
Hmm.
and he built up this relationship with the army. And finally, after two complete tenures of the transition, which I call democratic transition, Imran Khan was brought into power in
Where does it stand
2018.
today? Imtiaz Sahab, where would you define, how would you define the
Yes,
situation today?
I think Imran Khan has overestimated his strength and perhaps misguided by the retired army officials. That if you stand up and go for a takkar with the army, you will have great support from the within army. But the 9th May has become a kind of, it was the most adventurous thing to do, or
Yeah,
whatever happened, I'm not going into that. But
yeah,
Imran Khan is now in a big shit.
yeah.
And
Let me
he is
let
being sorted out the way the
yeah.
previous popular leaders were sorted out.
Exactly. So more of the same from the past, but what is different is these very visible images of attack on the GHQ headquarters of the Pakistan military in Rawalpindi, corps commanders' homes being ransacked. Though, of course, the conspiracy theory in Pakistan, the operating conspiracy theory is that this has all been sanctioned, with some corps commanders looking the other way. That this is about the Pakistan army versus army. Before I come to Meher for a perspective of someone who has supported Imran, I want to actually bring in General Shukla, because you've been following, as you know, one army general, looking at an army that you have studied as an adversary, but also therefore understand. You've been looking at the fault lines within the Pakistan military. I've been following your writings very closely. What do you see, sir?
I just like to make one or two points, Barkha. And they are like this. The first point is that, while Mr. Imran Khan's cricketing acumen was great, his political wisdom in recent times has been a little suspect. And what he has principally failed to do, I think, is to convert, and it's best, I think, put in Urdu, convert his substantial makbuliyat into kabuliyat, which is, as I understand it, his great popularity into legitimacy.
Yeah.
And I would like to look at the recent turn of events in terms of, a battle. Of course, there is institutional gridlock and combat, but also as a battle between these 3 to 4 principal characters. One is, of course, this very ambitious Imran Khan. In recent times, I thought he was, got enveloped by a lot of hubris. His bete noire Asim Munir. Now, there is baggage here in the sacking of Asim Munir when he was DG ISI, and sacking because General Munir not only perhaps had professional differences, but he pointed out to possible corruption in his household and cast aspersions on his wife. So a very personal angle, I think, came into the fight. And there is evidence to suggest that Mr. Imran Khan tried to come in the way of his becoming the army chief. And so there was a personal battle going on there. Mr. Imran Khan was also led to believe, by what I've seen in Pakistan social media, the Imrandar generals and judges, that they could perhaps bail him out. And therefore, when he was arrested, what he himself had defined as the red line. Now, that is hubris, that if you arrest Imran Khan, it'll be a red line. And that, I think, led him and his cadres to commit, political suicide. And what they did on 9th May, I mean, things like desecrating martyrs' memorials, storming Jinnah House, that was thoroughly unwise, and that is what unwise. And
they argue, though, that this is all planted violence. You must
I mean, nobody believes
watched
that. No, nobody believes that. I don't think anybody believes that. I tell you, I think he got enveloped by hubris, and when he drew this red line and said that if you arrest me, this is what I can do to you. And now, see, this is a little intriguing. When I think he was also led into believing by Imrandar general, like the co-commander of Lahore, who I'm told that in an earlier incident when a PTI activist was killed and some mobs were protesting, and the army in the Lahore cantonment did react to that incident, he admonished them. And he said that we will not fire on our own and all. I mean, that is good stuff. But the army step, he did not allow his command in earlier incidents to respond to acts of this kind. And on that fateful afternoon when this happened, if some social media reports are to be believed, he was instructed to take action. He again deterred and he was sacked. And that led to the storming of the Jinnah House and the other stuff, which has actually backfired on Mr. Imran Khan. So to use a cricketing metaphor, in this round at least, I think Asim Munir has deceived him both in flight and in the turn of the pitch, off the pitch. So, and this 9-5 has, I think ruined Mr. Imran Khan. Because of this, we have this Operation Dismantle On, where they are now, taking action against PTI activists and cadres in the second and third year, isolating Mr. Imran Khan. And here, I think he lost the plot.
Okay, so I think the consensus thus far, in a rare moment of agreement between the Indians and the Pakistani analysts, seems to be that for now Imran Khan is very clearly on the back foot. He overestimated himself. A great line there that he could not turn his popularity into legitimacy by General Shukla. Meher, you've been rooting for Imran and what he's been fighting for. Are you dejected today? Meher, I can't hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
I am dejected today because last night my 21-year-old nephew texted me that his 20-year-old friend, a peaceful protester who did not go close to the Corps Commander's house, has been arrested simply because his father is a PTI ticket holder. He's a law student. He was preparing for his Cambridge exams, and his entire year has been ruined. Now, I mean, he got out. Then he was arrested again. Now they're charging him with anti-terrorism act. That is why I'm rejected. It's happening to so many people, so many young people who had nothing to do with the arson, who are not even close to the place, and that is why I'm sad. And honestly, Imran Khan's yes, I agree that there have been very passionate and kind of incoherent slogans vis-a-vis Imran Khan's arrest. I guess I may have used the word red line at some point too, but I did not read it in this way that if you cross this red line, Pakistan will burn. I just thought that they would if they arrest him, that would simply mean that they are just legitimizing whatever they have been doing all along. Yeah. I'm going to read from what I just wrote for Open India. I'm going to read my own article. So, just to be very precise, as I look at the situation, that in May 2023, a coalition of 14 parties, most of which have been victims, enablers, and cheerleaders in no particular order of the unapologetic, blatant, and triumphant involvement of the establishment in the overthrowing of elected governments, dismissal of prime ministers, legitimization of martial laws, is working on a single point agenda: permanent removal of Imran Khan from Pakistan's politics. Instead of learning from their past gigantic mistakes or blunders of facilitating and applauding dismissals and toppling of the elected governments they opposed, they have become gleeful instigators of Khan's removal from they became gleeful instigators of Khan's removal from power, prime ministerial position last year, and now from politics altogether. What is happening right now, and what has been happening since last year was, as I have been saying in your show and in other places, that they thought that Imran Khan would be silent and people would not support him. That notion, that perception has I mean, it's null and void. They know it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
They have been trying for months to have a court label PTI a terrorist party, a process that will be put into high gear after was put into high gear after the mayhem, some of which became violent. Protests continued in many parts of Pakistan. Unarmed people were being.
Meher, tell me, what do you think will happen now? What do you think will happen now?
I thought no matter what happened to Nawaz Sharif, Benazir Bhutto twice, and Nawaz Sharif thrice, and Yusuf Raza Gilani, and then again, you have Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif in 2017. Nobody ever said that there will be no elections. All that is happening in Pakistan is that Imran Khan has demanded elections after his ouster. Is this? I'm just no. I'm not speaking as a PTI PTI supporter. I'm speaking as a Pakistani who's been watching the system being derailed all my life. I was a child when Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was there. What I'm seeing is that he was ousted, and like all the ousted prime ministers, he said, "Mujhe kyun nikala?
Yeah,
Why have
I'm just going to jump in here because I want to bring in General Hassan. But I think you make an important point that the difference between now and, let's say, the previous decade of turbulence, where General Hassan, the Pakistani military, continued to exercise the remote control, is that till Imran Khan can be marginalized from politics, there will be no elections because. Actually, I don't know if Imtiaz and Wajahat would agree, but the feedback is if there was a free and fair election, then Mr. Khan would win. My question then is that for a Pakistan that was described as post-coup, at least on the surface, is this martial law by another name? Can we unmute General Saab?
If I may introduce an element of something different in this. I am not in consensus here. You have declared that prematurely. Right?
Sorry.
I'm not in consensus here. And I'm not in agreement with General Shukla either. Because I don't think you have even gone halfway of what is going to happen in Pakistan. Right? I think you're assuming a little too much. And that in 10 days' time, it's exactly 10 days since 9th of May, that everything seems to have come to a boil and everything will settle down hereafter with Imran having been removed. No. Pakistan is used to chaos. There is tremendous history of chaos in Pakistan. I take you back. Imran Saab, probably anyone who remembers, go back to 68, 69, 70, at the time when Ayub Khan was under pressure. I still remember as a student, young student of geopolitics, that time I was studying it and looking at the chaos on the streets of Pakistan. Ultimately, the army came in again. There was a coup. There was a coup within a coup, and Yahya Khan came to power. Now, I think at the moment it's premature for us to say that Asim Munir has won this battle. First of all, Asim Munir seems to me to be the weakest army chief I've seen in Pakistan in a long time. We have seen chiefs, very, very strong chiefs in Pakistan. Asim Munir is nowhere near, and neither in personality, neither in reputation, neither in capability.
So you don't think it's game up, General
I don't
Hassan?
see this ending anywhere at the moment. You see, you are making a martyr out of, they're making a martyr out of him. And if they step beyond this, if by any chance they try and eliminate him or whatever, that's what we are hearing also, all kinds of things, you're going to make a martyr out of him, right? Besides that, you've seen the kind of chaos which has happened on the streets. We don't know whether this is all contrived by the army itself or is actually a natural thing which has happened. Barkha, I ask you, can a mob come to my house in Chinar house in Barkha in Badami Bagh? Can you think of korma from my fridge being taken away?
Not possible.
I mean, what are they talking? Let's look at Pakistan and see the innards of how is Pakistan functioning. You got to tell these stories to children. If you think that this is the kind of public relations and effort and cognitive warfare you are trying out against everyone, these are stories. The army is trying to spin things around, but it's getting stuck in its own spin as such.
I think
you're seeing the beginning of much more chaos in Pakistan than what we can even imagine.
Very interesting, very vocal, very coherent point of disagreement there. And I have to agree with you. I can't imagine getting into a corps commander's residence or official premises, not even to the outer gate, without, in the way that these crowds were able to. And these crowds weren't that big. They could have been managed. So you raise an interesting point there. I want the panel to respond to what General Hassan has raised. Yes, Wajahat, I see your hand going up. Then General Shukla, then I'll come to Imtiaz and Meher. Also, an interesting question coming in from our Mojo member. Can I bring up the question? What is the equation now between the Supreme Court and Pakistan's military now that the military has circumnavigated the Supreme Court by charging protesters under military law? Great question. Wajahat, go ahead.
I can take that question, but before that, I'm going to be a good old trooper and try to navigate between the two Indian generals. I think they're both right, and I think they're both wrong. And bear with me to General Shukla's point about Kabuliyat. Sir, Kabuliyat versus Maqbuliyat, I get your point. Popularity versus legitimacy. In this system, in most systems, legitimacy comes after popularity, and it only comes after a process of voting. That hasn't happened. And unfortunately, the legitimacy in Pakistan, the litmus test of legitimacy is not voting. It's a green light from general headquarters, from the army. And that's where I think there's a serious misread. Also, I did take Barkha's advice and followed you on Twitter and saw you dabble in Urdu Shairi as well. And there's a tweet of yours I'm going to read to you and then challenge you to it, that for the Pak army, the failed wild romance with Imran, these lines may provide some solace. Zakhmi hue jo hond, to महसूस हुआ ये चूमा था हमने फूल को किस दीवानगी के साथ. I like it. I know what you're saying, but there is an inherent misread here in the army's perception, in the army's read of Khan. Yes, as Imtiaz Saab explained, they've done this before. They've created Bhutto and then hung him. They've created Nawaz and then exiled him. Then they've backed Imran, and we've come to this. But Imran's a little different. I think the psychological profiling here has backfired. Bhutto may have been similar, but they got rid of him quick and fast. Nawaz went away with his tail between his legs. This guy seems to be hanging back. And I don't think that, this is where I start agreeing with General Atta, that we need to really get inside the Khan head and the Khan machine. If you psychologically profile him.
Before I get General Shukla to come in with Shairi and analysis and strategy both,
but there's one
question to you. My question to you. Yeah. Okay, complete your point.
The one point is that we've seen, you know, Barkha, you started the show that we've seen this show before. Yes, we have. There's that famous saying, you know, the only thing harder than getting a new idea into an army is getting an old idea out of it. And you know, if you say that, you confront a typical Pakistan army general with that, he says we're thick-skinned, it doesn't matter. But you know, this time, this is not 69 as referred to by General Atta when he was a younger man, young officer. This is a very different time. It just seems that the level of frankly fear which has now seeped into society and hate against the army is unprecedented. In those previous coups, in those previous interventions, Barkha, and you've covered Pakistan, you know the respect people have had for decades for the army. That's the reason the army's gotten away with murder. This time around, however, I feel that the you know, वो कहते हैं तोपों का रुख बदल गया. You know, it just seems that there's a lot of anger against the
interesting.
army.
What I'm interested in finding out is अगर तोपों का रुख बदला है तो वो क्या manifestation लेके बदला है? What will happen? I think that's what we want to know. Hang on, Mujad. Let me bring in the others. General Shukla, go ahead, sir. Can we unmute, sir? Give me a second, sir. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
All right. So the first point is that Indian army generals are used to disagreeing gracefully in public. So that's what General Hasnain disagreed with me, and I'll continue in the same vein. See, the point, General Hasnain may well be right, but let me give you the counter view. What surprises me is Mr. Imran Khan's political naivete. The fact that he chose to take on General Asim Munir in this way. There are also reports to suggest that there have been other accomplices from within the Pak army who provided targeting and navigation assists, entry-exit routes, pin locations, which allowed all this to happen. So that is what should worry the Pak army. But if General Hasnain is suggesting that the Pak army orchestrated this, it would be very difficult for me to believe that. Would an army orchestrate the desecration of its martyrs' memorials, striking Mianwali Air Base, this kind of stuff? That is very difficult to believe. So I think that Mr. Imran Khan relied on these Imrandar generals and judges. And I just like to make a point about the Chief Justice, Mr. Umar Bandyal. He also led him to believe that he'll bail him out. And he did in the initial stages. And he said, good to see you, and all that kind of stuff. What made him sound conciliatory tones when Fazlur Rahman got those crowds the next morning? So there are deeper interplays, and I think Mr. Imran Khan misjudged. He let his naivete get the better of his, more hard-headed analysis of what the Pak army could do. And there he made a singular error of judgment.
I want to
And I
pick up
don't think it has been orchestrated by the Pak army. That is very difficult for me to believe.
I must allow General Hussain a brief response before coming to Imtiaz Alam. Indeed, we have seen statues of soldiers that have been given Pakistan's highest gallantry awards being vandalized, among others. And General Shukla doesn't believe that a professional army, which despite all your differences and adversarial relationship with the Pakistan military, you do, I'm sure, look at it as, would participate in this vandalism. What do you say? Because equally, I find your argument compelling, General Hussain, that how can this happen without some looking the other way? How is the corps commander conveniently not at home? How does it happen? General Hussain, quickly, and then Imtiaz.
Yes,
Yeah.
very quickly, Barkha, on this issue, I don't want to really argue on it as such, but I think we situate the Indian army a little too much on the Pakistan army. You see, we tend to think that Indian army ethos will always be the same as the Pakistani army ethos. It's not so. The Pakistan army is vicious, absolutely. In these ways, it's found ways, it's got the experience behind it, and I don't disbelieve many things, vicious things that they are capable of doing. You've seen the ISPR, you've seen the ISI. If there are deep-rooted conspiracies, not to say that I believe everything which is being put out at the moment, but I'm still believing that the Pakistan army, with this Pakistan army chief and a divided army, is attempting all kinds of things today, one against the other. And in that kind of a situation, anything can be expected. That is my only argument. And now that they have unleashed this whole issue, no one can call back the dogs of war. Let me tell you, Asim Munir is riding a horse from which he cannot get off. Because ultimately, if you allow elections to happen and Imran Khan comes to power tomorrow, you think any of these people are going to survive? Not one of them is going to survive. So this game has to be played out till the end, which is why I predicted that Pakistan is in for a huge quantum of chaos in the near future.
So, Imtiaz Alam, what is your feeling as a Pakistani? Could these images of the GHQ being ransacked, the corps commanders' homes being ransacked from within, homes being set on fire, could this have happened without some covert participation, blessing, enabling by some section of the Pakistan military? And does it even matter now, looking ahead?
I see the attack on the Corps Commander House is the greatest security lapse. Is it because of the Corps Commander? Because I know, and the generals will confirm, that this is very highly protected residence.
Yes.
With so much military there that even a crowd of thousands cannot enter that house, and these are few hundred people. So, what I think, or what it seems that the corps commander let them in, perhaps that he could prevail upon them.
He
But I
wasn't
don't
there.
know.
From my understanding, he wasn't there. Wajahat, can you
He
clarify?
was there.
Can we
He was
unmute
there.
Wajahat? Can we get in Wajahat?
Just
Wajahat?
hold on. Listen to me.
Okay.
He was there. He sent his kids to the other side of the wall in the neighborhood, and he stayed back and talked to the demonstrators or agitators. And so that, but you will see the pattern, of course, that army installations are attacked. But nowhere else they could enter the premises like GHQ, like ISI office, like airbase in Sargodha. They could not enter there. They did destroy. The most horrible side of it is, which will have a very deep psychological impact on the army, is the desecration of the monuments of the martyrs. Because like this, so this will have very far-reaching consequences regarding army's attitude towards Imran Khan, or army's rank and file attitude towards Imran Khan. What was different about Imran Khan was that Imran Khan did have a great support within the army. Yes, that is right. Because army brought him in and declared him as his most loved child, Ladla. So he could talk in their face and still enjoy. You see that Imran Khan's approach was totally opportunistic and contradictory. He wanted to get the same kind of support as he had from General Bajwa and General Faiz. from this new general.
Yeah.
When he tried to reach him that you should support me with this plea, the general asked him, referred him to the president that, okay, let Shahbaz Sharif, the prime minister, and you talk out, and Imran Khan talk out the differences. Don't drag me in. I think the army's decision to get back from politics or withdraw from politics was good. This is what the democratic movement in Pakistan has been demanding. But now,
But sir,
after
if they have
army,
actually
after
withdrawn, if they have actually
after
withdrawn from politics, then they should allow an election.
I think my own reading is that elections cannot be postponed by this hodgepodge coalition of PDM. They are going to be held in October. Now there are 3 or 4 ways of fight going on in Pakistan. It is executive and the judiciary versus the section of the judiciary. It is between Imran Khan and the army now because now army is directly
Yes.
hurt and directly affected. But I would say and advise that army should not get into politics again.
Okay. Can I
It
just
will,
jump in? Can I just, sorry, I'm interrupting you because we have about 5 minutes left and I want to get the others. Meher, it's a little too late to say the army shouldn't get into politics. It's fully embedded there. And I'll ask you the same question I asked General Hussain. Is it martial law by another name?
Well, first, I completely agree with what General Atta said. I said it on your show the first time we talked about what happened in Pakistan, that no Corps Commander's house people cannot get into a Corps Commander's house in Pakistan. I don't know about your cantonments, but our cantonments are very, very heavily guarded. And for people to just go in, and I was just, incidentally, I don't know, I did not watch these videos. I have not seen them, but while looking at the images on your screen, they're just, going about the house, breaking things very nonchalantly. That is not really an enraged mob. There is somebody, अच्छा चलो यहाँ पे चले जाते हैं, and let's create some havoc. It didn't even look like, like a very angry, passionate young people who are inside. So, okay, we've got a chance, let's destroy whatever we can. Pakistanis who have a great deal of respect for their martyrs. In every second family, there's a martyr. In every second family, there's an army officer. So for the situation to get to this point where army officers and even recently retired officers and even serving officers have stopped telling people they are from the army, I think that is a very bad. That is a very clear sign
Do
of
you
what is
do you do
happening.
you believe elections will be held, and do you believe Imran Khan will be able to
This
take
is
part
the
in them?
whole fight. This is the entire fight. They ousted Imran Khan. They brought in another coalition. It started in 2021. There was we'll go into that those
Yeah.
details some other. They wanted Imran Khan to be out of politics. When people say he was the army's poster boy, he was their. I wrote about it in my article. They had their loving hand on his head. What I try to understand is what was he doing when the army was supporting him that was detrimental to Pakistan's well-being. He did not start any new wars. He
Yeah.
wanted peace with India. He wanted to do good things for the poor. What was he doing that was so bad that the army would have become so
So
enraged with him?
let me take a question from one of our Mojo members.
Elections
Can we bring
नहीं
this? Hang
फिर
on,
just
Meher,
one
Meher,
answer.
Meher. Yeah, okay.
Elections नहीं होने. Elections नहीं करवाने because as soon as elections take place, Pakistanis will wipe out these parties completely for the next 5 years. I'm 100% certain about that.
Okay.
It's just
Okay. Okay, so that is a pretty grim view of what's ahead. A question coming from Jaskanur saying, "What is the Pakistani army divided over? Is it factions supported by China or the USA that are in conflict?" Wajahat, do you want to quickly take that, and then we'll go to our two generals.
Sure.
Wajahat.
Sure. Hi. So, firstly, I'll take that in a second. But to your point about martial law,
Yes.
I don't think that you need martial law when you are already the law. Martial law is imposed against a government which is not playing ball with you. In this case, this government is not just playing ball; it's jumping. When you say jump, it says how high. It's more. It's very cooperative. As far as the conditions that come to martial law, yes, those have existed for months now. Abductions, killings, unlawful arrests, internet blackouts, those are in play. So yes and no to your question. As for the Corps Commander's House, I've been doing some digging. It's a critical moment in that day's history. There's a video which I've shared. I hope your producers are playing it out, which has come from the New York Times' correspondent, Salman Masood.
It's there. It's on the screen. Yeah.
Right. And that bit is critical because it shows and confirms my own reporting, because I did do a little bit of digging, that when I asked people in Lahore garrison on duty that what the F were you guys doing, they were like, well, we were told to take it easy. And all those, I've lived in Lahore garrison, there's multiple nakas, which you have to go through. Nakas are checkpoints, which you have to go through. A crowd of hundreds was actually allowed because they were told to take it easy. But the crowd, as you can see, eventually confronted the security of the Corps Commander's House and breached those gates. It seems, at least to me, pretty organic. Also, the follow-up has been brutal. They haven't just picked up poor people or local street gundas who are also involved in this, Barkha. They've also picked up generals' daughters and ministers' daughters who were involved, or allegedly involved, rather, in the Corps Commander's House breach and the Lahore proceedings.
So what next, Wajahat? What next?
So to your viewers' question about is the army divided? Sure, the army is not a monolith. People have opinions. This is an army which has, at least in the younger officers, I've spent a lot of time with them on the front lines over the last few years. They like the guy. They like Imran. And why wouldn't they? I mean, for the last 10, 15 years, this whole army has, and the rest of the country has been fed a narrative.
So sorry, I'm cutting you short because I'm on short time. But when Imran Khan says it's not the army, it's one man, it's Asim Munir, do you agree with that?
So that's the bit which has gotten him into trouble. But the army may be divided in terms of personal views, but I think it's really come together. And it's closed up its ranks. It's joined, formed together after the events of May 9th. And I think Asim Munir is taking due advantage of that. And I do agree with General Atta that we saw a weaker, quieter, more subdued Asim Munir before May 9th. But now that the attack is physical, I think he has been forced to bare his fangs and show his rank and file.
I'm going to jump in. Sorry.
That he's in charge.
General Atta, go ahead, sir.
See, Barkha, for me, as a concluding remark, if I may say, I wrote, and I still believe in that, this is a coup in the making. A coup in the making can continue for a fairly long period of time. It's a form of guided democracy which is going to exist in Pakistan for some time. Guided by whom? Obviously by the army. It's always been a guided democracy virtually, but here the intensity of guidance is going to be much, much more in the near future. As to the violation of the cantonment, etc., I may tell you, if civilians get into cantonments in this manner anywhere in India, they will only shoot to kill orders, nothing else. I'm surprised that when you say that the Lahore garrison or Lahore cantonment is so heavily guarded, how can there be not QRTs around, quick reaction teams around? I mean, we can question this in a military fashion till the end. My answer to the question which has been put out on your thing is very interesting. I don't think this is a division between the United States and China, etc. No, you're taking it too far. This is all political. The Pakistan army is getting more and more politicized. And I think this is not the end that we have seen. This is going to be the weakness of the Pakistan army in the future.
Now, before I give General Shukla the last word, one thing we didn't speak about is Imran Khan's comments on 1971 and the creation of Bangladesh. And I just think that has been such a long shadow over Pakistan that why would Imran Khan invoke it? It is mysterious. But I just want to play out that comment as we conclude and give General Shukla the last word. Listen.
यहाँ इन्होंने इतना खौफ और हरासा फैला के डरा के डंडे मार के लोगों को समझ रहे कि कंट्रोल कर लेंगे। मैं आज फिर से याद कराना चाहता हूं ईस्ट पाकिस्तान का, मेरी जिंदगी में हुआ ईस्ट पाकिस्तान। मार्च 1971 के अंदर मैं वहां मैच खेलने गया था ईस्ट पाकिस्तान की अंडर 19 के खिलाफ। हमारा जो जहाज वापस आया था वो आखिरी जहाज था। मुझे अभी भी याद है कि कितनी नफरत हो गई थी पाकिस्तान के खिलाफ। हमें तो यह पता ही नहीं था। इसी तरह जिस तरह आज मीडिया कंट्रोल कर रहे हैं, तब ये मीडिया कंट्रोल कर रहे थे। फर्क यह है कि आज सोशल मीडिया है और इन्होंने सोशल मीडिया ही बंद कर दिया इस दौरान, क्योंकि ये अपना वर्जन देना चाहते थे कि शर पसंद और बताना चाहते थे, इन्होंने सोशल मीडिया बंद कर दिया। आज हमें समझना चाहिए कि ईस्ट पाकिस्तान के लोगों से इतना बड़ा जुल्म हुआ, उनकी जो पार्टी इलेक्शन जीती है, जिसको प्राइम मिनिस्टर बनना, मुल्क गवा दिया, तबाह करवा दिए, 90,000 हमारे फौजी कैदी बन गए, मुल्क को नुकसान आप अंदाजा भी नहीं लगा सकते कितना हुआ।
Referencing there the 19,000 prisoners of war that were in Indian captivity, General Shukla, what did you make of this reference to 1971? I found it extraordinary.
Before I come to 1971, I just want to make one point about this apoliticality. And here, if I may just briefly recall the words of Field Marshal Manekshaw in reference to the Indian Army's stance on apoliticality. He said that we are deeply politically conscious, but consciously not politically committed, which means we understand politics, we are not idiots, but it is a sacred commitment never not to dabble in politics. This is something the Pakistan Army has not understood, in my view, and therefore it comes to grief very often. To understand apoliticality as a sacred virtue and as a matter of deep commitment. And see here, what is worrying about Imran is his great popularity. He had penetrated the ranks of the Pak Army and perhaps their families. And the incidents of 9/5 show that he had caused a crack in the wall. And if General Ghani had not been sacked, that crack would have widened. And therefore, he almost breached the institutional solidarity of the Pak Army that points to its great power and popularity, which had never been breached in the past. Even when Mr. Bhutto was hanged, I am told, they were sympathizers with Mr. Bhutto, but the institutional solidarity held. Here, these Imran Dar generals and judges had almost enabled Imran to do that. And one quick point about these elections. Imran was in a hurry for elections because he knows that by September, Justice Omar Bandial would have been out, and Justice Qazi Faiz Isa, who's a constitutional judge who would not have tolerated any of Imran's nonsense, would be the Chief Justice. And then with Asim Munir not on your side, Qasi Fiza not on your side, that would have been the end of the chapter of Imran Khan. Therefore, he was in a hurry, and therefore he took this gamble, which has backfired.
And now, quickly, sir, briefly, and now?
And now I think the noose is tightening around Mr. Imran Khan. He is a great fighter, but I think the odds are severely against him, very, very severely against him.
Okay, we are closing. Wajahat, do you have a last thought? Wajahat?
Yeah, hi, thanks. I agree with the general's assessment about the news loosening, rather tightening, but I disagree rather with the minutiae of the right judge in the right place. There have been 4 players in this overall: Imran versus the establishment, which is the government and the military together, and the judiciary and the people of Pakistan at large. There have been 4 players in this. The people have, as usual, been disregarded. Right now, the interfaces between the party and the army. We're at a very dangerous turn of a 13-month-long crisis. And at this point, it's a process of elimination. It's becoming a zero-sum game. And we know what that means in a place like Pakistan.
Okay, Meher, I really do have to close. 10 seconds. 10 seconds, yeah?
10 seconds. 1971 has been brought into focus because instead of having elections, they've decided to go for a civil war. This is what Hussain Nadeem, you're familiar with his work, former executive director of the Islamabad Policy Research Institute. He tweeted, and I think this sums up exactly what is happening in Pakistan. Between election and civil war, they have chosen civil war. What a sad day for Pakistan, and what a shameful conduct by the government, expected no less from them. Elections nahi karane. That is why the reference to 1971, that despite Mujibur Rahman's clear majority, Bhutto, and I'm a big fan of Bhutto, he decided not to cede power to him, and they started a war. Just because they didn't want Rahman.
That's quite a thought. Sorry, Yeah. Sorry, I'm speaking over you, but
that's
that's quite a thought to close with. Between elections and civil war, they've chosen civil war. We haven't actually agreed on the nuance, but I think we can all agree the bottom line is that Pakistan, yes, there are shades of the past, but there are also departures from the past, probably at least the degree of conflict that we're seeing within, with no predictable endgame in sight. We leave it there. We'll continue to track the story to Generals Hasnain and Shukla, to Wajahat, to Meher, and to Imtiaz Saab. Thank you. And to our audience, thank you. See you tomorrow. We started Mojo right here in this basement. Just 4 people. 4. And now we're about to hit our first 1 million subscribers. So this is to say thank you to all of you for your support, for your respect, and for your encouragement. We've always gone to where the story is. During the pandemic, when television's big anchors were hunkered down in their studios or at their homes, we hit the road. We traveled from Delhi to Kerala, covering 30,000 kilometers in our small car, reporting from inside ICUs and inside slum tenements. Whether it's flash floods or war zones, we've always put our boots on the ground. In fact, we're just back from Punjab, tailing the Khalistani fugitive Amritpal Singh. And through all of this, we have always put you, the people, first. In an age of partisan polarized media where most journalists are either chamcha ya morcha, we believe the story is sacred and the truth of the story is what matters. And now as we get ready for the next step, we need your help. Become a Mojo member and get first access to all our big interviews. Get a chance to ask our newsmakers questions. Get a chance to write and report for us for both our website and our channels. And also, interact with me and my colleagues directly through AMA sessions. Literally, ask me anything. Click on the join now right next to the subscribe button, and yes, also subscribe if you haven't yet, and become a Mojo member for just 159 rupees a month. Hope to see lots of you in our community. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.